What's up, guys? I'm Justina Victoria, and I want to welcome you to this evening here at the Boys Club. And before we begin, what I would really like for you guys to do, if somebody could just pop a comment in and just say that you can hear me well and you can see me well, that would be really much appreciated. And we'll get into it. Can you hear me okay? Cool. All right, so, I get tons and tons of questions on the Boys Club. People are always like, what is it? And there's a reason for that. We don't like to, put everything about it out there, mainly because we want to preserve the sort of integrity of the space. Men have a very difficult time sharing vulnerably, especially with other men. And so part of the reason I developed the Boys Club is to create a space for men that can work on things around their masculinity, things around their love life, their sexuality, their relationships, and be able to up-level and upgrade and educate in these areas, and to bond with other men. Now, I want to share a little bit of a story around my own experience of this. So I grew up in a very Italian-American family, and the women in my family are really hard and strong and very masculine. And they really instilled this idea in me that the feminine is weak, that women are crazy, they're dramatic, they're backstabbing, they're cheaters, they're liars, and they just want to be your friend so that they can steal whatever it is you have. So my relationship to the feminine was very, the word I'm looking for is like, I rejected it. And so we are beings that possess both energies, masculine and feminine. No matter if you're a man, woman, gay, straight, trans, whatever you are, we have these natural energies a part of us, masculine and feminine. And, I always say, like, if you feel weird about the names, using those names, like as an example, the word God sort of triggers me. I don't like the word God, so I'll use the word universe. So whatever resonates with you, if you don't like the words masculine and feminine, you can go with fire and water, you can go with positive and negative. But either way, these energies are present in us. And masculine, we just do like a small overview of these so that the rest of this will make sense. Masculine is future oriented. It is achieving. It is planned out. It is organized. It is action taking, direction, protection, truth. So if we were to boil down masculine energy, it would be truth, direction, protection, and control. Feminine energy is the opposite. It is play, dance, flow, present moment. It's experiencing, and it is surrender. So we boil down feminine, it is trust and surrender. So we need both of these. They're like positive and negative ends of a magnet. When we bring these together, it creates like a synergy. It creates a magnetism, and it creates a polarity in relationship. Outside of relationship, we have these energies and they work equally in our bodies, no matter man or woman, to help us to create what we want in life. So masculine is all about taking action and creating and organizing and planning out and looking to the future and achieving and protecting yourself and hunting. And feminine is, it allows you to just be with your creation. So you've taken all the action, and now it's just time to enjoy and relax and and experience and exist, be in nature, essentially. And so when you are unintegrated in one of these energies, or you rely more heavily on one than the other, then that we become unbalanced. So going back to my own personal story, I had this belief system that was programmed in me from a very young age that you don't want anything to do with the feminine because we don't value that. It's weak. There's no purpose to it whatsoever. And also that the masculine is here. This is where importance is. You want to be up here. Feminine is down here. This is where all the idiots live and the crazy people and the dramatic people. You don't want anything to do with that. So I would use my feminine essence or my feminine energy as a means to an end, right? And all, like, literally my entire life, all my friends were guys. And, once in a while I might have a girlfriend, but I never trusted her. And I never really dropped into my own feminine essence unless it was for a reason. Like if I wanted to seduce a man or something like that, I might use my feminine energy, but it was a tool to be used. It wasn't an integrated piece of my being. And it might seem kind of strange because it's like, I'm a woman, I'm a heterosexual woman, I'm attracted to the masculine. Why would I be in the masculine? What would compel me to be in the masculine like that? And essentially we do this, we do these, we become imbalanced based on fear and lack of safety. So, when you're taught that the feminine is weak and it's less than, right? And if you want to be important, you got to be up here with the masculine, then you're going to devalue that piece. And this is something that happens with guys. It's like an opposite experience. And there's a spectrum that comes along with masculine conditioning, which is what we'll get into here in a minute. But my whole life, I was really unintegrated and unbalanced. I was living in the masculine. And because of that, what I would do is I would attract men in the feminine. So when I say men in the feminine, I don't mean like gay men. I mean guys who are literally overcompensating in their feminine energy because they are unintegrated in their masculine. So just like me, where I was overcompensating in the masculine and unintegrated in my feminine, it was the opposite. Because in relationship, to create any kind of sexual attraction or any kind of like desire, lust, attraction in general needs a positive and negative. So if you have two negatives, two positives, two masculine, two feminine, it doesn't work. There's nothing that attracts the two. So if you imagine a relationship as an airplane, and to have a healthy, beautiful, sustaining, fulfilling relationship, you have to get that plane off the ground, and it has to fly through the air, in flow, sun is shining, no turbulence, right? And when you have two people in the feminine, this is about experiencing, right? It's not about taking action. So you put both those people in the cockpit, the plane is never getting off the ground. Nobody's taking action. You have two people in the masculine, the plane will get off the ground, but two people trying to pilot the plane. And eventually it will crash because the direction becomes too chaotic. So you need a balance between masculine and feminine. And if you are naturally, for me, I am naturally feminine essence dominant in my relationships. But because of my belief systems around the feminine, I was hanging out of the masculine to keep me safe from abandonment. So if I attracted a man in the feminine, which is a state of surrender, I get to make all the decisions, right? I provide, I protect, I give him everything he wants. I protect him from his emotions and everything else. And now he needs me. He relies on me for everything. There's no way he's going to abandon me. You can't abandon something that you need. So the amazing thing about the brain is that it is doing this in the background. This is the importance of awareness and consciousness. Our brain, it's literally a supercomputer made out of tissue, soft tissue. And it can program itself, it can formulate on its own based on threats to your vital needs. So tribe is a vital need of ours, and the brain will go on manipulating and doing things to make sure that your tribe stays intact. So if you're alone in the world and your brain sees that you need a partner, you need a tribe, and it says, well, you can't attract a very masculine man because he's not going to need you. He's not going to stick around. He's too independent, right? You need to be the one in control. This is all happening in the subconscious realm. And it's honestly miraculous how the brain works. So unless you're aware of the programs that are running in the background, you sort of hop from relationship to relationship, or you stay in a relationship, or you don't get into a relationship at all. Essentially, you're just a victim of whatever the program is that's running. And it may or may not be in alignment with what you're trying to create. So what we're doing in the Boys Club is helping you to become aware of the programs that are running, that have been created through your experiences and through your associations with family, friends, school, media, society, culture, you name it, religion. And we're looking at the belief systems that you didn't even know were there. And once you know that they're there, finding out whether or not they're in alignment with what you truly desire. So when you go into a relationship backwards like I did, one of the consequences of that is that your nervous system, for a woman in this position, a woman being in the masculine 24/7, will deplete the nervous system. So in every single one of my relationships, they all ended the same. I could not stomach having sex with the guy anymore. And that is because I was never able to move into my natural state of surrender and trust. I was the one directing and leading. And it seemed like, if you've never really heard of this before, you never really understood these energy dynamics before, you might be thinking like, well, who cares? Like, just lead, just direct. It's not a big deal. But when it comes to naturalness, if you are embodying something all the time that is not energetically natural to you, it becomes a depletion. So at the end of my relationships, I could not stomach having sex with these guys anymore, and I would break it off with them. And at the time, I thought, oh, they just weren't the one or whatever. But that's not a thing. We only relate to others from either a place of love or a place of fear. So we either get into a relationship out of need, or we get into a relationship out of desire. 99.9% of people out there are in relationships out of need, not out of desire. And it can feel the same. It can feel like, oh no, I desire this so much. But the fact of the matter is that you need that person underneath. They keep you safe from something. So let's get into a little bit about the Boys Club, just so you guys have some understanding of what we do. The Boys Club is split into 4 different rites. We call these initiate rites. The first one is integration. And it is all about exactly what I just explained. It's about exploring your energy, your masculine energy, and understanding your relationship to your own masculine energy and your relationship to your own feminine energy. This is the foundation of any interaction that you have when it comes to women. And so the first rite, which is integration, is split into 10 different principles. The first principle is truth. And this is the absolute core. Like, if your desire is to be a man who is powerful in this world, like genuinely powerful, and I don't mean having power over, I mean having like incredible power inside, feeling grounded, feeling like you know where you're going in the world, that you can create, you can get, you can be anything that you want. It all starts with connection to truth. And masculine conditioning from literal infancy teaches 3 things. It teaches little boys to disconnect from what they feel. It teaches little boys that at some point they need to fuck a lot of women. And it teaches little boys that they need to be physically strong. And all three of these are supposedly the ingredients to being considered a man. And the only reason you're wanting to reach this pinnacle of this label is so that you can be loved and you can belong, which are part of our vital needs. Our brains are hardwired for tribe, for love and belonging. So there's some very interesting things. We don't have enough time to get into all of them, but there's some interesting things that happen based on this conditioning. One thing is that, if you practice your whole life to disconnect or avoid feelings, you're denying your own existence, because we are nothing beyond feeling. We're literal walking chemical reactions. There's nothing beyond feeling. Our entire experience of life is a feeling. And two, when you finally supposedly hit the mark and you become a man and people love you and you finally belong, you can't actually receive the love and belonging because you don't know how to feel it. It will be foreign. And this is one of the reasons, among many other, like I said, I don't have time to get into like the depth of this, but this is one of the reasons why I believe that the male suicide rate is 4 times higher than females. It is this constant daily denial of your own existence that eventually turns into sort of like a decaying, an eroding of your being. And so if you don't know, if you've been practicing, because everything we do in life is a practice. We practice everything until they become networks in our brain, and then they fire automatically. So if you practice your whole life not feeling or avoiding certain emotions, it's going to be really difficult to interpret the messages that come through the nervous system. So the brainstem is attached to the nervous system, and it sends messages through the nervous system based on your environment, what's happening inside your body, threats to your vital needs. And if you have never been taught how to interpret these messages, you're going to be really, really lost in life. Remember, integrated masculine energy it's got a direction. It's moving in the direction of truth. But if you don't know what's true for you, you either don't go anywhere, you go around in circles, feeling really unhappy and unfulfilled. So that's the reason we start with truth and we start with direction. In the Boys Club, it is a reintegration into understanding the messages that come through sensation, because that's how our brains communicate with us. In sensation, communicates through the nervous system in sensation. Being able to decipher those messages is vital in knowing what you're passionate about. What are your yeses in life? What are your no's in life, right? How do you know whether or not you're just running a program, people pleasing, or, doing whatever you're doing because you want your dad to be proud of you, instead of like, oh, I'm really happy and excited and passionate about this specific thing that I'm doing and I believe in it. So we start with truth and direction, then we move into my absolute favorite module, which is groundedness. And this is all about regulating the nervous system. Moving away from the typical unconscious, strategies of regulating the nervous system, which don't lead to long-term regulation, like, orgasm, watching porn, binge watching TV, overeating, drugs, alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things are regulating to the nervous system. But depending on what belief systems and associations you have attached to them, they can actually exacerbate the dysregulation that you're feeling in your body. To be a powerful man, you have to be at peace in your body. Your nervous system and you have to be in alignment. There's no getting around that. You cannot have an alarm bell sounding in your body all day, every day, not have any clue what it is, put your earplugs in and be like, yeah, I'm moving powerfully through the world. So this is my favorite principle, because when you actually understand how to truly regulate your nervous system, you become unstoppable. It's my favorite. The fourth principle is courage, and this is about emotional courage, whereas most guys have some form of physical courage. And guys are taught, boys are taught, like, you have to be physically strong and physically courageous, when in the world we're living in, it is extremely rare that you'll ever get a chance to be physically courageous. But you get a chance every single day to be emotionally courageous. And one of the things that I say to guys is that, when we talk about this is, great, you can protect your home and your woman and your family, right? But can you create the home and the relationship and the family in the first place? You need emotional courage to be able to create those things. You need to be integrated in your masculine and feminine energies and understand the dynamics, understand yourself to be able to even create these things. And that takes quite a bit of emotional courage. And also in this principle, we go over relationships to emotions. Most guys are living sort of this like rat-like existence, or like those studies where the rat comes over and like it goes to eat something and then it gets shocked. And then eventually the rat's like, I'm not going to eat whatever's in that bowl anymore. And that's what's happening usually for men, around this conditioning, with staying away from emotions. It's like the second they feel something, it's like being zapped and an immediate change in direction. Get as far away from that feeling as humanly possible. What we want to do is go into it. You want to sit in that. You want to get acquainted with that. The better you are connected to something, the better you understand something's purpose and meaning, the easier it's going to be when it comes up. You're going to be like, oh yeah, that's there. This is the message coming through with this. And that's okay. Instead of being like, oh no, I'm going to change directions. I'm not even going to, like, most people build their life on a program of fear. They don't do the things that scare them because they scare them. Most guys are afraid of being afraid. And so courage really comes from being able to feel fear and welcome it, see it as a challenge, be excited by it. The fifth principle is control. The sixth principle is power, presence, and leadership. These kind of go hand in hand. This is the part of this journey where you're now regulated, you're feeling more peace in your body, you're starting to understand yourself more, and you get to now project that out around you, right? Your presence is the thing. Like, there is nothing as women that we want more than a man who is present. You cannot be present if you are afraid of what you feel. If you can't be present in your own body, you cannot be powerfully present with a woman. And when a woman feels that, it doesn't matter what level of consciousness she's on, it doesn't matter whether or not she's ever heard this spiel before, she will feel when a man is present. She will feel it when he walks in the door. And guess what's going to happen? Her little ears are going to perk up and she's going to be like, ooh, what's this? He's different than the rest of the guys here. I need to go say hi to him. Because that's what we want. We want a man who is not living in fear. And when I say, like, you become one of the top 1% of men in the world, what I'm saying is you will have a different relationship to fear. Most men are just scared little boys. And I say that with love and compassion. But they are, because of the conditioning and the lack of awareness. And they end up living their life in victim mode, where life happens to them instead of doing whatever the fuck they want with their life, creating, inventing, right? Your being as a man is giving. You are here to give your soul, to create, to invent, to be an architect of this life. And when you're riddled with fear, you can't have good sex, you can't connect, you can't ever feel good enough to create anything. And that's why the men who really have got it together, they have belief systems that support them around the idea of fear. They have a different relationship to fear. So the last few principles I'm going to go over quickly just to make this not super long. Principle 7 is protection, and it's one that I love. And again, it's similar to the courage one, because protection, we, especially with men, we immediately think like physical protection, but actually protection is really about boundaries, right? So we've got some guys who are on one end of the spectrum who have no boundaries. They're constantly people pleasing and yesing people to death because they're so afraid of emotions like anger and disharmony and conflict, right? And they have very poor boundaries. And then you've got guys on the opposite end of the spectrum who have their boundary to the teeth. You cannot connect with them at all because they literally have a wall around their heart, a wall around their whole existence, because they don't want to experience anything that could possibly be soft or vulnerable. So in that principle, we're looking at building boundaries that serve you and removing boundaries that don't, looking at what's in or out of alignment. Principle 8 is honor, another one of my favorites, which is about now going through this entire journey up until this point. You get to a place where you're like, wow. And it's the same thing that happened for me in the feminine. My whole life, I was thinking, weak, crazy, pathetic. I don't want anything to do with that, right? And then all of a sudden you get to a place where you've done so much work around it and you're like, holy shit, feminine isn't weak. Like, it couldn't be more opposite to that. To surrender is the scariest thing you could do. It takes so much courage to surrender, so much courage to trust. And when we go into the honor principle, that's really what happens. It's like looking at the masculine, not as a joke. I mean, our idea of the masculine in the world today is like, I'm going to slap you in the face with my dick. I'm going to teabag you with my ball sack. Ha, ha, ha. And like, it's funny here and there, but like the fact of the matter is that we really look at the cock and balls as a joke when really it's incredibly powerful. It creates life. And so this principle is about honoring the masculine within you, that integration within you, the feeling of masculine in the world, and leading others to that path. Principle 9 is balance. So now we're just looking at masculine and feminine integration. We've done all this around the masculine, and now we're going to look at your relationship to the feminine. And the final principle, which is something that's near and dear to me, is what I call alignment. And it's actually about now getting your dick, guts, heart, and head all in alignment, and literally becoming erect from this straightening, this alignment in your body and your being. And once all of your pieces are in order and they're aligned, there's a natural flow and synergy that happens inside of you, and you really move very powerfully through the world. So beyond that, when we finish that, we move into the second right, which is seduction. And this is all about, obviously, what it says, seducing, right? Now you've moved into a place where you're powerful, you're present, you're grounded, you're at peace within yourself. And you get to now project that out. You get to play. So seduction is all about play. It's about manipulating the world around you and manipulating your own energy to be able to attract, right? You want to pull in the feminine, using that idea of an understanding of sexual polarity. And you can do that because you're regulated and you feel at peace inside. So I'm not going to go into every single principle in this just because it will take all night. But in this right, You're going to learn how to now project that energy out. You're feeling good on the inside, and now you're going to project that out, and you're going to pull in. You're going to magnetize the feminine to you. And this works whether you're in relationship or out of relationship. So don't think that like, oh, I have to be single to do this, or I have a girlfriend, or I've been, in a relationship for 25 years. Well, this isn't having to do with me. Oh, no, no, no. In relationship, we are seducing our partners constantly, and inspiring them. You as men, your job in life is to open a woman and to inspire that opening, to inspire her security so that she can become the fullest expression of ecstasy and love and devotion for you. And we use that in and out of relationship. The third right is eroticism. And this is a deep dive into just like we looked at in the beginning, the relationship to your masculine energy. This is a deep dive into your relationship with your own sexuality, the way that you self-pleasure, your porn habits, everything. The first half is just everything that has to do with you and your own sexuality, the way you relate to your cock, the way you relate to your own body, self-love. And then once we complete that, we move into that outer experience of eroticism and pleasure, which is feeling confident in bed, pleasuring a woman, connecting, experiencing, really high levels of pleasure, spiritual sex. So we go really deep into the sexual realm. And then finally, the last right is romance. And this is all about relationship dynamics. Again, this applies whether you're in relationship or not. And in this right, you learn how to relate to the feminine. So this is all about creating fulfilling, satisfying, wildly pleasurable long-term relationships. And how to create sexual polarity, how to utilize the skill of unconditional love, how to be fully expressed in all that you are, how to grow with a partner, and heal with a partner, and to get that plane off the ground and have it glide through the air. No turbulence, just sunshine, happiness, warmth. So one thing I will say is that this is for men who are serious. This is for men who, this isn't about like, oh, I'm just going to try it out. I'm going to, dip my toe in or whatever. Like if you truly want to feel powerful in your life, in sexuality, in your relationships, and in the world, it takes dedication. It doesn't happen overnight. We live in a world that is so instantaneous. Anything we want just appears on our screen at any point. And we forget about the true value of taking time to develop. There's something magical that happens when you take a photo with an actual camera and you go in the darkroom and you watch that image appear. It's slow, but it's satisfying. And that's what this is. The boys club is for people who are for real. This is for men who are for real. They genuinely want to change their lives. They genuinely want to move into a place of power. They genuinely want to attract profound love into their lives. Conscious women. And it's work. It is work. But I'm telling you, based on my own journey and my own experience, it is so worth it because it changes every aspect of your life. Every aspect of your life. There is a reason why the male suicide rate is 4 times higher than females. And that reason is based on powerlessness and the conditioning that little boys receive. So I invite you to join me in the boys club to allow yourself to penetrate these principles and these rights and use them in your life, and watch how your physical reality changes. Watch how you start to attract women. Watch how you start to command a room. Watch how your nervous system all of a sudden starts to like chill out and not torment you anymore. And be moving in the world from a place of desire and integrity and knowing, versus just being sort of all over the place and hoping that things just fall into place one day, or finding a woman who will just tell you what to do. You know, this is something that is work, but just like anything else that you dedicate yourself to and you work on, it's worth it, because that foundation is set and there's no going back after that. So I want to thank you guys for joining me here tonight at the Boys Club. We will be doing this again. We're going to be doing this pretty often, if not weekly. And you're welcome to come back anytime and listen as I go over these rights. One thing I want to share too is, if you're here today, I'm going to pop this up here. We are doing 30 days of free membership to the Boys Club. The coupon code is here on the screen, 30 days. The Jay, is the Jay, is the link in the, okay. So I think the link is in the YouTube. Come in.
The link in the comments.
In the comments.
Yeah, link in the bio.
Is it in there already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Link's in the bio. So you go there, and you can type in. Oh, I'm supposed to be pointing down. Okay, down here. You can go in and you can do the 30 days free. I hope to see you in there, and have a great night, guys.